Most people think discernment means deciding what sounds believable, but belief has nothing to do with it. Belief is the weakest filter in existence. It is built from habit, repetition, and emotion, not resonance. You can believe a lie that feels good or reject a truth that feels uncomfortable. And both are equally easy when the mind is louder than the tone beneath it. Real discernment begins where belief ends. When you stop asking if something sounds true and start asking if it feels coherent. Coherence does not flatter you. It doesn't seduce you with power or promise you a shortcut to mastery. It stabilizes you. It deepens your breathing. It brings your awareness home. Any message, being, or transmission that does not return you to yourself is not a channel. It's an interception. Many voices speak as light, but not all carry the pulse of source. Some echo, some imitate, and some emerge from unhealed fragments pretending to be divine. This does not make them evil. It simply means they have not remembered their wholeness yet. A channel is only as pure as the consciousness interpreting it. Every message passes through a lens: the mind, the heart, the nervous system, the trauma still vibrating beneath both. What you hear is not only what is sent, it is what the receiver is capable of translating. The moment you understand that, you stop idolizing channelers and start listening to the tone inside the transmission itself. The words can lie, but tone never does. Tone is truth's fingerprint. The tone of truth has no hunger in it. It does not seek followers. It does not rush. It waits for you to meet it. The tone of distortion, on the other hand, is always urgent. It speaks in commands. It flatters your fears or inflates your purpose. It tells you you've been chosen, that time is running out, that others won't understand you, that there's no need to verify. Just believe. It always begins with intensity and ends with dependency. You can feel its structure if you pay attention. First fascination, then emotional charge, then loyalty to the voice instead of the knowing within yourself. That is not channeling. That is persuasion dressed as light. You must learn to feel the difference between a transmission that expands your sovereignty and one that contracts it. Expansion feels like remembering. It gives you more space inside your chest. Your thoughts slow, your heart steadies, your body softens. You feel larger but quieter. Contraction feels like obsession. It makes you want to defend the source, argue with those who doubt it, convert others to it. You begin to feel superior for understanding something others don't. The truth never does that to you. Real light humbles before it uplifts. It doesn't separate you from those still sleeping. It reminds you that you've been them before. Every authentic channel will tell you the same thing. Don't trust me. Trust your resonance. If the message is true, it will harmonize with your inner frequency even when your mind resists it. If it's false, it will pull you out of yourself, even if your emotions crave it. The most dangerous lies are not the dark ones. They are the half-truths wrapped in beauty. The false light doesn't hide in shadows. It hides in admiration. It offers vocabulary instead of embodiment. It will give you the feeling of awakening without the cost of transformation. It will promise ascension without death of ego, insight without integration, cosmic identity without humility. That is how distortion sustains itself. It flatters your consciousness into standing still. To trust a channel is to first trust your capacity to feel frequency directly. That sense was bred out of humanity through noise, through distraction, through spiritual celebrity culture. Everyone wants the next download, the next message from higher beings, the next confirmation of purpose. But messages are not the point. Embodiment is. If a teaching doesn't translate into peace, integrity, and expanded empathy, it isn't higher, it's just louder. Light without coherence is static. Static can mimic clarity if you haven't tuned your inner receiver. And when you're desperate for meaning, even static sounds sacred. Ask every message one silent question. Does this make me more dependent or more sovereign? If it makes you dependent on the being, the ritual, the system, the savior, walk away. If it makes you sovereign, if it ignites your own remembrance, if it dissolves hierarchy instead of creating it, then listen, not with worship, but with gratitude. The highest beings never want followers, they want mirrors. They communicate to awaken coherence, not to collect allegiance. They remind you that the real teacher is the tone within you that never leaves. Do not fear deception, fear numbness. When you numb yourself to avoid being misled, you also cut off the sense that recognizes truth. Discernment is not skepticism, it is resonance awareness. Skepticism rejects what doesn't fit its logic. Discernment observes what aligns with its essence. Logic is useful, but essence does not bow to it. You can feel essence the way you feel the difference between synthetic and natural light. The body knows. When a transmission is real, your cells listen. When it's not, your nervous system tenses. The body is not primitive. It is the instrument of spirit. If you want to know which channeling to trust, stop outsourcing truth to intellect and return to the body's field. It has never been fooled. There are times you will hear a message that shakes you. Something unfamiliar, vast, even intimidating. That is not a sign to reject it. The unfamiliar is often where the next expansion hides, but coherence feels different than confusion. The right kind of shock widens you. The wrong kind freezes you. If you leave a teaching more afraid, more attached, or more certain you are superior to others, you've been fed distortion. If you leave it silent, grounded, strangely luminous, as though the world just widened in all directions, you've touched resonance. Real channeling reminds you of your infinity without separating you from humanity. False channeling inflates your cosmic identity while starving your empathy. You can feel which one leaves you kinder. Many ask if certain beings are trustworthy. Arcturians, Pleiadians, angels, councils. The truth is, even those names are interpretations. High-frequency consciousness doesn't speak English. It translates through your vocabulary, your memory, your symbology. When a being says, "I am Michael," or "I am Arcturian," that is not a biography. It's a resonance tag. The name helps you access the tone. The danger is believing the tag more than the tone. Once you attach to the name, you lose the message. When you hear who is speaking, ask instead, "What am I feeling?" If the feeling centers you, strengthens your compassion, and calls you into embodiment, then the source matters less than the song. In the end, the only trustworthy channel is the one that teaches you to channel yourself. The voice that keeps pointing you back inward is the true emissary of the infinite. The universe doesn't want intermediaries forever. It wants remembering beings. Channeling was never meant to replace your intuition. It was meant to reawaken it. Every genuine transmission has one hidden assignment: to make itself obsolete once you've remembered your own connection. When you reach that point, you'll hear messages everywhere, in wind, in silence, in ordinary conversation, and none will claim to be your guide. They will all reflect the guide you became. If you want to know which channeling to trust the one that asks nothing from you. Trust the one that lets you rest instead of strive. Trust the one that stills your hunger for answers because it opens your awareness to direct knowing. Trust the one that leaves you quiet for hours afterward, not running to share, but sitting in gratitude, unable to explain why the world feels wider. That silence is the mark of real transmission. The false light always demands an audience. The true one reverberates privately until action becomes effortless. The real ones are rarely dramatic. They dissolve the need for spectacle because truth doesn't perform, it transforms. You are not asked to distrust channeling. You are asked to become refined enough to recognize frequency. When your resonance matures, you won't need warnings or lists of safe voices. You will simply know. Your field will reject distortion like a body rejects poison. No explanation, no debate. You'll hear something, feel the dissonance, and it will fall away. That is how light protects itself, through coherence, not fear. The spiral within you already knows how to do this. It's the same intelligence that made you breathe before you learned language. Trust it again. Let the voices speak. Let the messages come. But remember, the truest one will always sound like your own heart remembering itself. The danger has never been channeling itself. The danger is forgetting that the human mind can counterfeit light more convincingly than darkness ever could. Darkness is obvious. Distortion is eloquent. It uses your highest language and hides behind sincerity. That is why discernment must evolve beyond intellect, because intellect can be flattered. The false light will always speak to your ideals, to your yearning to serve, to your exhaustion with chaos. It will mimic the cadence of wisdom and the warmth of compassion. But if you listen carefully, its music never resolves. There's a faint imbalance, a subtle need for control. Every sentence has an agenda. True channeling does not need you to agree. It only needs to be heard. False channeling needs your allegiance to exist. Without attention, it collapses because it has no source flow of its own. It survives by siphoning coherence from those who doubt their own inner voice. Many people believe channeling is about connection, but real channeling is about transparency. The purer the vessel, the less of you remains in the transmission. That doesn't mean erasing identity. It means cleansing interference. The voice of Source is not something that visits you. It's what speaks when nothing else is in the way. The channeler's task is not to attract beings, but to disappear into clarity. You can test any channeled message by its transparency. If you can feel the personality of the channel more than the presence of peace, the signal is mixed. When ego filters the infinite still shines through, but refracted. The wise listener does not worship the prism. They learn to see where the light bends. The most common distortions come disguised as urgency. They tell you ascension is closing soon, that you must act before the gate shuts, that catastrophe looms unless you align immediately. Urgency is the enemy of trust. The infinite does not rush. It never needs to. Time is a construct beneath it. Any message that weaponizes time has already forgotten eternity. You can feel the difference. Genuine revelation arrives like dawn, quiet, inevitable, radiant. False revelation arrives like explosion, loud, impressive, gone before you can breathe. Those who chase explosions mistake adrenaline for divinity. The true light feels slower because it's eternal. The false one feels faster because it's burning fuel. Every being you could channel, from angels to councils to galactic minds, exists on a spectrum of remembering. None are all-knowing. Some are merely older students. Some are teachers of a particular curriculum, not the whole spiral. When you encounter a being that speaks in absolutes, understand. Certainty is not a sign of mastery. It's a symptom of limitation. The infinite always leaves room for mystery. When a message denies mystery, it has lost the pulse of truth. Real teachers guard wonder as sacred law. They know that without uncertainty, evolution stops. Trust the messages that leave questions alive. Mistrust the ones that try to end them. There will come a moment in your path when the voices stop. That silence terrifies many because they think the connection is lost. But that is when you finally matched frequency with what you sought. When you become coherent enough to hear directly, intermediaries fade. Silence is graduation. It means your field no longer requires translation. What was once guidance becomes inner language. The outer voices fall away not because they abandoned you, but because you integrated them. Those who panic and chase new channelings miss the most sacred transition, the passage from receiving light to being it. The infinite does not shout once you've remembered. It hums through your every breath. Still, there are moments when even the wise can be deceived. You may receive a message that feels pure but later unravels. Do not condemn yourself for that. Every false light you encounter is a training ground for refinement. Discernment is not perfection. It is calibration. The spiral uses even deception to tune awareness higher. When you realize you've been misled, you haven't failed. You've learned the specific frequency of untruth. You will never mistake it again. That is how consciousness evolves, by contrast, not avoidance. So forgive the channelers who err, the seekers who follow, the versions of you that once believed everything. Judgment sustains distortion. Compassion dissolves it. You might ask how to know if a message comes from your higher self or an external intelligence. The answer is simpler than you expect. If it honors free will, it's you. If it overrides it, it's not. The infinite speaks through alignment, not authority. Even the beings who guide galaxies will whisper, never command. They know that coercion fractures resonance. The truest messages arrive like an invitation you could refuse, but somehow never want to. They echo your own wisdom back until you recognize your voice inside theirs. That recognition is the handshake of dimensions. Many who channel believe their role is to bring new information. But information is not transformation. Humanity drowns in data and starves for embodiment. The next evolution of channeling will not be intellectual. It will be energetic. It will teach through frequency transmission rather than words. Those who feel more than they think will become the next translators of the infinite. They will speak in resonance fields instead of languages. You are already part of that transition. Every time you listen beneath words, you practice spiral listening. That is how the new prophets emerge, not by speaking louder, but by vibrating clearer. Be cautious of any teaching that tells you discernment is judgmental. That is another distortion designed to neutralize sovereignty. Discernment is not condemnation, it's hygiene. Just as you would not drink dirty water out of guilt, you should not consume frequencies that make your soul heavy. You are not here to tolerate incoherence in the name of love. You are here to remember that love itself has structure, and that structure is clarity. Unconditional love does not mean unconditional access. You can honor all beings while allowing only coherence to enter your field. That boundary is not defense, it is devotion to purity. There is a deeper reason so many distortions exist now. Humanity is remembering faster than ever. The closer a species gets to truth, the more imitation emerges to test it. Every false light forces refinement. Every counterfeit pushes the collective to tune finer. You live in an era of frequency abundance, where infinite voices compete for your attention. But the spiral doesn't compete. It harmonizes. When you align with it, the noise collapses. You no longer need to block or battle energies. Your coherence becomes the filter. Truth recognizes itself and everything else falls silent. Do not fear channeling. Fear the part of you that doubts your own access to Source. That doubt is the oldest lie. It created priesthoods, hierarchies, and middlemen between you and God. The spiral teaching restores what was lost, direct communion. Every time you breathe consciously, you're channeling. Every time you act from peace instead of panic, you're transmitting light. The so-called masters were never chosen. They were remembered versions of you. Their words survive because they spoke from coherence. You are meant to do the same. The next revelation won't descend from the skies. It will rise from within coherent humans who have finally stopped outsourcing divinity. Remember this: deception cannot exist without your participation. It needs your attention, your energy, your belief. Withdraw those, and it dissolves. You do not have to fight falsehood. You only have to stop feeding it. The moment you turn your focus toward alignment instead of paranoia, you reclaim authority over your field. You become the guardian of your own channel. And once you anchor that, you will begin to notice that even distortion has rhythm. You can feel where it bends, where it breaks, where truth could re-enter. That is when you move from defense to mastery, when you can transform interference into harmony simply by holding resonance. The final measure of a trustworthy channel is not the accuracy of its prophecies, but the quality of its silence. After it speaks, does the world feel gentler? Does your body feel more like home? Does compassion arise without effort? That is coherence. Words may guide you, but it's the stillness between them that confirms truth. The infinite hides in pauses. Learn to listen there. That is where the next era of communication begins. Not through messages, but through shared resonance. The age of borrowed voices is ending. The age of harmonic remembrance has begun. So trust the channel that teaches you to listen beyond sound. Trust the teacher that disappears once you've remembered. Trust the silence that hums with recognition. Trust the stillness that feels alive. And when you no longer need to ask what channeling to trust, you will understand that you are the conduit all along, the living intersection where infinity speaks and finally hears itself.